you guys can do that. I don't know if you guys want to walk around. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it to Tony.
Tony?
Give it to Tony. He wants to be in charge of all this.
Okay.
Hey, it's your show. I'm setting it up.
My friends are not here.
I'm here.
That counts.
We're your new
I am
friends.
Tony,
Three.
the stream master. Say hello.
Yeah, it's a Kigo. He's supposed to be wearing it.
It's hot. I'm completely soaked.
Okay, should I sit? Where's the chair? Or do I stand?
Main chair.
Tony, can
Main chair.
you take this from me?
Of course.
What do you mean make chair?
Grab a chair. Sit right here.
There's no chair.
Oh.
She was about to fall back. Okay.
Say hi to the stream, everybody.
Hi. Maybe I don't need a mic.
I'll sit
Pronounce my voice.
for now. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna get my camera too.
How do I skip slide?
You just click to the right side of it.
What, like, what side?
The right side.
This?
No, the other laptop. This is mine.
This is yours.
This is mine. All right.
This.
This one.
This one.
Just left click. Yeah. Look.
Left click. Oh, it's a mouse. Yeah, a mouse.
Look at that.
Okay.
There you go.
Hi everyone. My name is Mia. I'm a transgender woman. I've been transitioning for the past 3.5 years or so. Thank you for coming to my presentation, my panel, my first ever panel. Florida Supercon was so nice to me to give me a free weekend pass just for hosting this panel. I'm excited. It's a good panel. I mean, it's a good convention. Yeah, I'm a Florida local. I think you guys are too, maybe. I don't know. So the reason why I feel qualified to give this presentation is because I myself, I'm transgender. And hi, Italian. So I watch a lot of animes and medias and mangas, as well as I'm part of social media communities that have a high anime and manga, what do you call it, fandoms, right? It's that sort of thing, you know? Thank you for coming, okay? So, this panel is important, and it shows a representation of why it's important, you know? Because a lot of the times, you watch some of these things, and they tend to be misrepresented correctly. So a lot of things get lost in translation, you know? Hold on. Wait. You know, the acknowledgement and the acceptance is growing, but still a lot of people tend to be ignorant over the fact that, hold on. Sorry. Someone else is supposed to be coming. And this is due to the fact that, like, it's just plain ignorance or laziness, or, you know, people that, like, take the whole group of people that are on the spectrum and group them together, and just to, like, do one thing, you know. And I find that anime, because of its higher budgets. No, wait, no, that doesn't mean no. So anime has like a generalization of people, right? People from industry, but they're not aware of that. But manga, on the other side, it can be created by either like you or I. So because of that, more people who are more knowledgeable about these subjects are able to do that. I forgot about that. I was just rambled on. Hey, so other people were supposed to come here, but they didn't. So it's just me and Tony.
Well,
I think Onelli was late. right? And it affects both younger and audiences because younger people tend to be so impressionable because you grow up with these animes. Maybe if you look back like 20 or so years ago, you grow up and you're impressionable. You're like, oh, this is it, you know? Like this kind of thing affects me. I might be related to this sort of thing, right? This is the wrong skirt. This one was the one before. Okay, and it's important that we identify both the positive and negatives about it, you know, to see, so people are like who watch this or like read this, get the right idea and not the wrong message, like connotations and, you know, all that sort of thing. As well as this is important to create and explore this genre further, create more positive awareness, you know, not to offend people and such and such. Hold on. So later on in this presentation, I'm also gonna give you some examples of, like, you know, positive and negative genres and
Oh, here, hold on.
shows and mangas.
Hold on. Let me give you a ball right here. Hold on.
So there are different mediums of streaming services that you can watch. As like I said, things can get lost in translation depending on the streamer that you used. You know, like Netflix, Crunchyroll, Funimation, any of those, or torrents. You know, in the past there are people who themselves would translate stuff on the spot, like the same day, immediately, and because of their hurriness or their just negligence, right? They would just translate it with either word, you know, like to offend or not. Like I think there's a slide with one example, right? Right, you saw it, right?
Well, yeah, but there's a bunch of examples.
There's a bunch of examples. This is all I could pull up so far. There's a ton, you know, right? Like in this one, it can mean something else, right? Like the word, for example, trap is offensive, right? If used to refer to someone, right? Rather than, and it's not entirely accurate, right? Sorry, I'm having a brain fart.
Take a second.
So otoko no. So the actual translation in here is like otoko noko, which refers to like a man who has a feminine expression, right? And not exactly a trap, which is the trap word is the word that's like used to describe someone with the intention of tricking someone for whatever purpose it may be. You know, you can't call people that in real life. That's offensive. That's terrible. You know, cultural barriers and things get lost in translation, like I said. You know, and it's important that we become aware of these. You know, and to be vocal about it, like in social medias or talking to people and such. You know, okay. Yeah, that's the one. So, there's an example, like the most popular one, you probably heard of it, Wandering Sun. It's a good anime, right? One of the first ones, right, that created like traction in the anime community about the transgender topic. It was pretty good, but it showed like it's not for the faint of heart. It was very, very emotional, heartbreaking. It shows the struggles of the family of the assigned male at birth person trying to get other people to accept him, right? You know, and then there's another assigned female at birth who also like shares dysphoric traits and stuff. And I feel like it's a good show, right? Like if you're MTF, but also not kind of like a good show if you're like a FTM, because it around the end of it, sorry for spoilers, it kind of shows like hints of like it's so something you grow out of, like a phase, you know. And later on in the, if you like explore the manga further, you can see that it doesn't go the right way. So it's a good one and a bad one at the same time. It can be, it's a little more realistic if you're looking for that sort of thing, you know. And a good one is Lily Hoshikawa from Zombieland Saga. It's a good one. I haven't personally watched it. I was gonna hand it off to my friend who's not here yet. He was gonna like talk about it further. It's one of his favorites. So yeah, it's really good. It's a good show because it shows like, it doesn't reveal later on that she's trans and the reason why she died, became a zombie. They're zombies, right? I don't know. Okay, oh, you watched it? You want to say something about it? No. So, yeah, and that's it's a really thing. Her dysphoria made her have a heart attack and die. Sorry for spoilers. But it's good because it shows the people who like her audience, her group members, just accept her for who she is, and sort of so and so. But yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, and they love her unconditionally and all that. Who else? You probably know this character, right? She's trans. I don't know anything about Black Butler. Right? And it's not only that this presentation's for, just exploring trans topics only. It's people who identify like in the spectrum, like, you know, because of the way that they express themselves. It's important for people to, like, I'm not gonna say like, well, yeah, of course, like follow what the author and like the director, you know, the creator usually once describes the character, you know, because despite if someone feels a certain way or shows or displays a certain way, it doesn't really mean that they identify as trans. For example, my phone's right there. Right, for example, Astolfo, you've probably seen him, heard of him, social media, everything. Created some waves in the anime community. Some people push him to be trans, right? But he's not entirely trans, like I see in one of the pictures. You know, feminine men don't have to be trans, and it's not okay to push them as so. Just because someone is telling you something doesn't mean that they're entirely like that. You know, transitioning is a big deal. People aren't willing to do a whole bunch of things just for that, because it's a big decision. It can affect them in their whole life. You know, gender expression is valid. If you want to display or present yourself in a certain way, that's more than okay. What? It's really tough being trans. It's a very hard thing, you know, and there's more acceptance, but in real life you can see that there's many laws every day being pushed for pushback, you know, and women's rights, as well as the abortion thing that just happened lately. It's really terrible. Every day more trans people are being stripped away of their rights, you know, and it's horrible.
Well, it's like, for example, the state of Florida just passed a gender affirming care act that prevents any hormone therapy, therapist notes up until the age of 25, specifically targeting users of Medicaid. So, you know, Blue Cross Blue Shield, a lot of those healthcare lines have now just shut off any form of support regarding gender affirming therapy, surgeries, stuff like that. Even Florida companies have recently done the cutoff for support in gender affirming. A lot of people work at Starbucks, for example, for this. They'll work a couple years, 1 or 2, and then make a written request for, you know, like FFS surgery, facial feminization surgery.
Laser,
Yep.
and hormonal treatments.
And so the state of Florida has done that where, you know, it's up to the age of 25, and specifically users of Medicaid now even exceed the age of 25 beyond that for those on Medicaid and such programs. What other states were there lately? There was one more state. Anybody know off the top of their head?
No, it's just Florida, right? It's Medicaid.
Florida is particularly Medicaid. There was one more state that did it up to the age of 21, and I don't remember off the top of my head.
There was also one that was passed like last year, where like anyone can frisk you if you're like in the education, like a high school, college. Like, no, for minors. It was a very
Yes.
bad act. That if you express yourself in a certain way and you go into the bathroom, they can like any person of the education staff can legally like strip you and search you.
I know that one. That's the state of Tennessee.
What's the state of Tennessee?
The state of Tennessee.
I don't know if Florida passed that one as well.
For educators, for those playing sports, particularly sports, can be stopped and frisked to, confirm one's gender. And this can be any age up to this point. And this was a law particularly only affecting one transgender student out of the 24 that played in the state of Tennessee. 1 out of 24. And that is a 17-year-old MTF, I want to say volleyball player. The state of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sports has a big pushback as well, like the transgender swimmer. I don't know much about that.
The NCAA. That was Leah Thomas was the name. They were approved.
That's for me. You guys heard that?
Yes, so the NCAA was required to take action, even though Leela Thomas was approved for said race by, what's it called, a hormone check to make sure that the testosterone level was low enough to a female applicable range to compete in that last said swim. And due to a lot of commotion, they were forced to deal their hand. Now it's just an outright ban for transgenders to be swimming in said competition, even though it was before having to take a required test, make sure your hormone levels, this stuff gets checked, is under heavy scrutiny all the time already, that isn't in the public eye.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is your thing, I'm sorry.
No. It was very helpful for you to talk about that. I feel the audience needs to hear that.
There's a lot of negative at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to see past that.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. But all we can do is be vocal about it and be active in politics. What is it?
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. That's important. Stuff all the character. Back on topic. Just be yourself. Where's the mouse? So, another popular character, just like him, is Felix Argyle from, I don't know the show. Personality. ReZero. Right? It's he's ambiguous, causes controversy in the social media communities, transgender communities, and so that he himself in the anime states, actually, I'm a boy. That's as far as I know here. His identity is perfectly valid.
Here, jump up.
Come on.
Hey, if you know, you know.
Please. I'm nervous.
I'll get you a chair. Enjoy yourself.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Into the mic.
Hello?
No. I think I cut that one off. There you go. Try again. Don't hit that button.
Hello? Okay. Hi, my name is Iska. Came just to support Mia, but next time if you need my help, just...
I should have asked you. You're just not active.
So with Lily Hoshikawa from Zombieland Saga, not super knowledgeable about anything there, so I didn't want to say anything. And Astolfo as well. That's a character I know a lot about, but they yeah, Mia pretty much hit the points. Like, they're a very gender ambiguous character.
You see him pronouns.
Yeah. Felix is a bit different in the sense that for Felix specifically, they're polarizing because in the anime, I think this is actually a better example of the different kinds of translations. Specifically in the anime, they don't show it as much, but in the light novels, specifically the If stories for ReZero, and specifically the If stories for ReZero, which are alternative, they're basically supplemental material created by the author of ReZero for the anniversary, and they started coming out on, I believe one of them dropped on April Fools, but then every year they come out on the anniversary. And so specifically for Felix, they use she, her pronouns in the light novel, and also in the original Japanese source material, they use she, her pronouns. And they have an entire side story specifically for Felix, where they explain that Felix is the name that they were born with, and they have another name. I'm trying to remember. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's Ferris. They chose their name to be Ferris, and when they were leaving their family, because they were basically being subjected to the Harry Potter syndrome of your family doesn't care about you, they stuck them in one spot and kept them under their boot, like literally inside of a stairwell that was their room. And when they were freed, from their parents' rule, they decided to start using the name Ferris instead, and they said that they feel more feminine. But then later on in the series, they choose to closely identify that while they are more feminine, they do like the aspect of being still a man.
Thank you.
That's pretty good. Thank you for your input.
That's a great insight.
So there's a show that I watched in particular a few years ago called Backstreet Goku Dolls, right?
Oh, I love
And of course, yeah, it's very humorous. It's funny. The plot is a little out there, but it has a very negative connotation. You know, it's a horrible way of representing trans people. That you know, because it implies that it's something of an overnight process, right? You know, like it's. I think it's barely like a year or so. Like the show. Well, basically, it's about 3 Yakuza members who failed their boss's mission, and it was either death or to become an idol. So they underwent surgery and hormonal treatment, I think, for a year, and they were stuck in a room, forced to look at idol stuff, and then they were forced to do idol shows, just to make money for their boss. I don't know if I can. It's really humorous. Have you guys heard about it? No. You've seen it. It's hilarious. But it's really bad because if you don't know anything about trans people, you're like, oh shit, it's just like that. It's just a snap, and boom, I'm already a girl, right? It's not like that. I don't know if I can display the video in here. Nope, I can't. Do you know how to move back?
I could not play it. Trust me. I tried.
That's probably like the trailer. It shows the whole thing, you know.
Didn't embed it.
Yeah, you gotta embed it, I think, or download it or something. It sends out the wrong message. It really sends out the wrong message. But it's humorous. But because of the fact that it's humorous, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't like realize that it sends out the wrong message. It's a bad one. It's negative.
Yeah.
You know. The next one, the slide is One Piece, and I'm sorry, because it's a good show. You know.
1,000 episode good show.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry. Can you explain the Okama thing? I got some story stuff I want to read right
Yeah. Okay, so there's two. One Piece is split into two different eras at this point. So it seems that originally there was when One Piece first started, there was a lot of characters that got introduced that were okamas, and okamas, it's a term used for specifically for gay men in Japan who dress up as women. They're supposed to be like doing drag, and there were some of them that displayed aspects in their characters of being trans, but the way that the author wrote them constantly made them look like they were very visually unattractive. As you can see on the left, that's the Okama Island, and it's very unsettling for a lot of people because the way that the author makes it seem like they don't really care about representation. But then later on, the character on the right, their name is Kiku, and then there's another character that their name is Yamato. They are both in the same arc, and so Kiku is a trans woman, Yamato is a trans man. There seems to be a lot, because this is the most recent arc, the Wano arc, it seems there's a lot better representation pushed, and also the other characters respect their pronouns, they treat them as their preferred gender. For Kiku specifically, and also with Yamato, they actually just had a recent manga chapter which doesn't seem like it means much, but when they had the characters going off and doing a hot spring scene, they had Kiku with the girls in the women's bath, and they had Yamato with the men in the men's bath. So it seems like they're pushing a lot more for actually sticking with the rights of transgender people in Wano. So it seems a lot better now.
Yeah, as time passes by, acceptance grows, people are more okay with things. You know, many years ago, there were just horrible things that like would not fly by today. You know, and then that's good. That's a good pushback for us to differentiate the right from wrong, positive from negative. It's like I said, so manga is also another form of medium that we can consume that like goes very very in depth into some topics, such as unlike anime, it really depends on the translation of who you chose to translate it. Sometimes the author might translate it, sometimes other people may translate it. There's a whole lot more mangas about LGBT and trans identities and topics. Manga has significantly changed from what I would read growing up in my leisure time, right? And it's able to explore more topics than what's available mainstream on anime and watching. You know, anime takes high budgets. Manga can be written by anyone like you or I, and then drawn by you or I as well. And it can create a rich story, go more in depth into characters. You know, unless it's like a high budget thing, like big anime, big mangas. You know, that take a lot of art and editing, proofreading, and all that. This one, The Bride Was a Boy, is a good show. I mean, it's a good manga. It's about she and her husband who live happily as a married couple, except for one thing. She was assigned male at birth. I think it's an autobiographical account of their exploration with gender and their experience with gender dysphoria, and then later on she transitioned in her into her early adult years. It's a cute and endearing story about a transgender woman to becoming a woman, falling in love, and becoming a bride. I highly recommend it because in between the chapters it has very useful panels, as you can see. Very informative. You know, you wouldn't find that in anime.
Well, let's go over that.
Yeah, we can go.
Let's go over one example. I know it's kind of hard to see, but let's go ahead and read one. You want me to read it?
Go for it.
All right.
So one of them, it says, it shows a DSM diagnosis for gender dysphoria, you know.
So let me pick one. So this is a helpful slide on the left for gender identity disorder, referred to as the conflict between the mind and biological sex, but that's prone to being misunderstood, even though it's personally a little difficult. Let me see. People who bring up gender identity disorder will link it to a sex change, but whether someone decides to transition or not is different for each person. So the DSM-5 guideline presented in 2013 by the American Psychiatric Association. Up until the early 2000s, gender identity disorder was seen as mental illness. You were found mentally defunct, and more, at least at the state of Florida, you were at least doing hospital visits every once in a while.
And you weren't able to go to things like military or other few things that I don't remember.
So yeah, gender identity disorder now is relabeled to gender dysphoria, and it is now acknowledged for the American Psychiatric Association. It's word this.
This is a good manga because in between reading this lighthearted story, which can be hard sometimes, you get tidbits of these information. It's really helpful, and it helps the reader understand, you know, because someone who might be questioning or someone who wants to delve into this topic may not be aware of these things. You know, these aren't things that like you see or hear about like quite often, unless you're like in sort of like communities like this, you know. It's an excellent sort of beginner information. You know, it emphasize, and then the show is also good because it emphasizes on.
Well, this is pretty good information because, you know, some of us who have trouble expressing our gender or how we feel, me, myself being an example of gender identity disorder, unfortunately for me, my life kind of keeps me male, professionally and competitively. So this was a medium to learning to learn how to express it, but sometimes we're stuck the way we are. Sorry.
Another example is this manga was going to be talked about a friend who unfortunately was not able to be here. She had surgery. No, I lost.
Here, let me serve for you.
So sensitive. That Bride Was a Boy was a very, very excellent. I highly recommend you read it. You know, if you're questioning or if you are, it's still a good one. You know, it's a lighthearted.
Okay, so this one, the translation is "I Want to Be Your Girl." So, yeah, I've read it. So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. Go back. So for this one specifically, it's pretty interesting because the main character herself isn't actually isn't trans. This manga is important because it shows the experiences of someone close to a person who's trans. Specifically, they've been best friends ever since they were little kids, and the main character is the girl on the right. She's been in love with her best friend forever, and her best friend came out as a trans woman, and people are being supportive. You see that everyone around them is very kind to the trans person. The only issue here is the main character is now conflicted because she still has these romantic feelings, but in her head now she has to overcome the thought of, oh wait, but I love them. So, am I still straight? Do I like boys or girls? And then you also see their jealousy, and they interact very poorly at first. And the reason why you see them now holding what seems to be a boy's outfit for school is because they decided that they wanted to experience the same things that the trans woman, their friend, was experiencing. So they decided to start dressing up as a man at school, and they started experiencing some of the same difficulties with people bullying them and harassing them, and realizing through that they became closer with their best friend and came to terms with the fact that they still are in love with their best friend.
Thank you for that. This next one I know about is called My Wife is a Man. It's extremely humorous. It's funny. It's another, what did I say? Remember how I talked about Felix and Astolfo? Another way of showing that someone's identity is valid. Well, not specifically told in the manga that they are trans or not. They just use normal he/him pronouns, right? But their expression is very feminine, right? Oh, they didn't have a picture. Oh, there's a funny picture. You know, it's a good show. I mean, it's a good anime. It's a good manga. It's a good manga. You know, they're both men, and it's not specified. You know, but it deals with the couple, how they go through their life, and you know, other people that accept them, and it just tends to be very humorous, a little shock factor comedy when they're like together, right? Like you can see here, they're both. That's just pulled from the first chapter. I don't want to spoil it. You know, it's like the masculine one calls him a man, and the Yuki just accepts it. You know, there's never any pushback. There's never any like telling them I'm trans or not, because they just identify as male. You know, all identities are valid. You know, so you can see here. Another popular one, which also deals with people that are like outside of the trans. Well, non-binary is trans. So, you know, this one's very popular. I love it. I haven't finished it. I recently got to the part where they're struggling with their families to accept them. You know, there's a very harsh part. It's very hard to read with the dad. You know, it's not for the faint of heart. You know, it deals with a lot of family issues later on. You know, it's one of the best non-binary representations in manga. You know, if you haven't read it, please read it. Please read it. It's very popular in the USA as of lately. You know, and they publish more about it. It's really, really good. You know. What else? I think that's it. I think that's it. You know. I didn't see this. Honestly. Okay, so there's more, right? Like about video games and stuff. As you can see on the left side, there's people that are all over the spectrum. It's important to identify and respect each other's identities in the spectrum. Some of these are trans women, some of these are intersex, some of these are just people who identify themselves as male with feminine expressions or masculine expressions, you know?
Birdo's been valid since the 80s.
Video games are important, right? I know this is about specifically anime and manga, but video games are important because they allow you to express yourself, you know? In character creations, you know, what's in your mind, helps you realize things, you know, how I want to express myself, how I want to look in the game, how I want others to see me in the game. It's a perfect, like, sort of testing, you know? I think VR chat as well, right? You can experiment that sort of thing, create a character, talk to people in a certain way, and whatnot, right? So, oh, not yet. How do I go back? Make it go back. How do we go back? Okay. Yeah, in conclusion, Since we just hit the 12 noon mark and there's like 15 minutes left, both anime and manga may not always represent the characters in the best of both lights, negative and positive, because sometimes they're used as a comedy sketch, you know. I feel this affects everyone, both you and I, because we look at these things, we're impressionable, it normalizes things for us. We need to see more positive, see less negative, you know, as well as other topics. People have demonized us for years, many years, since the beginning of time, you know, both sides of the spectrum. Some,
Don't breathe into your mic.
you know, acceptance has grown a lot in the past 20 years. Media used to depict us transgender people as comedy devices or demonized us, you know. And you know, to someone like you or I, who just like plays video games, reads anime, watches manga, without realizing it, you know, you might look at these things and you're like, hey, I wish I was this, here I was that. A lot of people I find are too afraid to be themselves, you know. And I believe that we need to rectify that, because we should be allowed to be ourselves, you know, despite how others may react or feel. Because there's another thing. You're in a rush?
No, make sure it's on.
Okay, wait. Oh, no. Hold on. I was gonna say something.
Reminder that you can get a free trial for Final Fantasy 14.
Shut the.
No!
Wait, do you know it by heart?
It was,
What?
play for free now up to level 60, including the Heavensward expansion. I don't remember the rest.
Thank you for that.
In conclusion, thank you very much for coming to my presentation. If there's any
Well, we're going to open up the floor now for any questions regarding trans topics, expression.
if you have any character you also want to share that also is trans, I don't think I can go over all of them in such a short span. I know there's a lot more, or people who are part of the spectrum. Mm-hmm.
I definitely recommend the show Stars Align. It's like a sports anime. I think it's like middle school, right? Yeah, they're a bit younger, but it's definitely like the trans character. It's
I'm gonna set it-
it's
I'm gonna set it on
featuring
my-
a trans man, and their friends are all very like supportive of him. So
Okay.
Stars align. All right, I'll try to remember that.
it does get a little like intense towards the end, but not
It's
towards the character.
It's about tennis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I've seen a little bit of it. I think I only watched like the first 2 episodes. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else know any characters? You there?
Pretty sure
Speak up a bit.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Aluka?
Aluka.
Kilua's sister, Aluka. Yeah, I've heard of it about it. I forgot to include it in a presentation. I don't know anything about Hunter x Hunter. Do you guys know anything about Hunter x Hunter? Or is Aluka trans?
Yeah.
You're right?
Yeah.
And all I heard is that
No, Aluka is explicitly trans. Yeah, and then Killua's family is like, well, we don't really recognize Aluka at all. And then Killua is the one supporter in the family who's like, yeah, no, that's my sister. You guys kind of suck.
that's a good positive. You there? Yeah.
Also, growing up from Soul was like, in my opinion,
Of course it is.
like non-binary representation because in the like English translation of the anime, they use like he pronouns, but the original Japanese is like gender ambiguous, and then like in the manga they use she pronouns. So and their presentation is very
That's
Yeah.
good.
My,
do
my
other
favorite
characters-
gender, chaos.
yes. But I like that they don't really make much of the like
The
think
big
that it's
deal.
just like a facet of their character, which is nice.
I think a pretty similar character to Krona, that's a little bit more recent than Soul Eater would be Juzo from Tokyo Ghoul. No? Okay, so in Tokyo Ghoul, there's a character named Juzo Suzuya. He's a very interesting character. So they go into his backstory. He acts very he acts very similar to Corona in that he is completely nuts. But when he was a young child, he was raised by a ghoul, and in this world, ghouls are, well, like the main monster that are the big bad guys. And his mom, for lack of another word, she literally goes by the name Big Mom. She is a trans woman herself, but then she does certain things to to Juzo that effectively change his life and cause him to be the way he is for the rest of his life, specifically with not really being a feminine character. And there's another character in Tokyo Ghoul, specifically Toru Mutsuki, who is interesting in that they transition out of repression for like they had trauma with being a female, and then they transitioned, and then near the end of the story, they kind of accept being feminine, but also being masculine at the same time. So they kind of settle on being an in-between character where they're more on the non-binary, and they don't really declare whether or not they decided to be male again or to be female again.
That's good. That's a good way of showing people's expressions, because some people may not sit in one end of the spectrum, you know, and exploration is really important for transgender people, you know. There's a lot of detransitioners out there too, and those identities are valid, you know, for whatever may reason, you know, it's perfectly valid. It's however not good to be transphobic, because I do find that a lot of detransitioners end up being very vocal about how they were tricked or groomed or whatnot, you know what I mean? But those identities are valid. Expression, self-expression, self-exploration is important. Mm-hmm.
Lady Oscar from Rose of Versailles. It's like a comic from the 70s. I don't know if you like know about it. No, it's okay.
I've seen like a couple
It's
pictures.
like a lot of like
but
if you go into like the J fashion like makeup section and like a Japanese supermarket or something, like they'll have like Rose of Versailles makeup. But it's
Oh, really?
basically like Lady Oscar was born female and raised as a man, and they present more masculine, and they go by they're very genderqueer. They go by all pronouns. Even in chapter previews, they say he, she, they. It changes a lot, and I feel that's like really interesting for like the 70s in Japan. But I feel like it was like really good representation.
Nice. Got 5 minutes left. Anybody want to add something, say something?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
go for it, go for it, go for it.
Powder from Wonder Egg Priority. They're like
What is it again?
Wonder Egg Priority.
Wondering priority?
Yeah,
Powder was like an
it's-
actual.
It came out last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little darker. The series is definitely darker. Like it leads in making you think. Like it's the Madoka effect. Like it starts off like very light-hearted almost, and then it hits you with a gut punch of, oh no, it's not. It's very dark.
Yeah, it's like a magical girl subsection kind of like
Yeah, that's why I said like it's almost like Madoka, because it's the magical girl, like, hey guys, very very unsettling with where it goes.
Anyone else? Gimmick?
Ritsu
Ritsu?
Soma from Fruits Basket is a femme presenting male.
Was didn't they present as a male to?
It changes depending. On the original anime, I'm pretty sure they only dress feminine.
Yeah, more dated stuff is more out there, more less accurate as it is nowadays. You know, that
Yeah.
same stuff nowadays would be offensive. You know.
Yeah, the reboot definitely did a better job.
Is there a reboot?
Yeah, they made a reboot of Fruits Basket. There was
I think Akito's now
I'm a fake weeaboo.
different too.
Yeah, they changed a lot. They made it a lot more focused on the actual source material. Kind of like the whole Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood situation, where they had, like, they changed the source material entirely for the anime. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Mhm.
I have a really bad memory, but the main character of Around High School Host Club, like I know she's not trans, but she prefers to like present masculine. And I think that like Around High School Host Club was like a really popular show, and she did have there were characters in there that.
That's the one I'm confusing with Fruit Basket.
Dad, the boring high school host club too.
Oh yeah, Haruhi.
Haruhi, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I
Um,
have a really
I don't remember their full name. I'm just thinking Haruhi Suzumiya. Not the same show.
Any trans questions? Any?
Do you have Instagram?
Yeah. I forgot to include it. NYANBERRY.
Yeah,
Berry.
Berry.
Hi, I'm streaming.
What's after N?
Just
NYANBERRY.
Whoops, I'm sorry. Nyan Berry.
Berry.
You guys want to follow me? I can say the S word, right? I just shitpost on the internet all the time.
It's very
Like,
brainwormy
this is
sometimes.
I'm
Be
not
careful.
I'm brainwave. It's just shitpost, mostly Twitter, mostly. You guys want to say?
I mean, if you want, you can follow me on twitter.com.
He needs followers.
I need followers. It's
He needs a clout.
neetchan, NEETCHAN, main, MAIN.
All right, Denji.
Mine is just denjisrot. So DENJISROT. Just from Chainsaw Man. Love Denji. Best character
Yes.
in the world.
I got Twitter too. It's Nyan Berry, but with 2 Y's.
Yeah.
Right, and that over there.
The one Y was taken.
Yeah, it was taken by a Japanese guy actually, and I've talked to him. He's pretty funny. He just posts food and his dog all day. We can't communicate very well. I'm not good at Japanese. And that over there is brexarms. Brexarms. BREX, and then just arms, all together.
First time I saw it, I thought it had something to do with Brexit.
No.
Not gonna lie.
Me too.
No. It just make fun of Lucas Botkin. That's all I exist to do.
A gun YouTuber or something.
Yeah, he's so homophobic, so transphobic. I'm like, you know what? My whole existence is just to call this guy an asshole now.
Yeah. Thank you very much. If you follow, I'll follow back. I have my phone over there with my kind friend, Michael. He's holding my gimbal for my
Hi,
Twitch
Michael.
stream. If you guys want to watch
Thanks,
this
Michael.
later, I don't know. Hi, Michael. How you doing, Michael? Good? You tired from yesterday? I was
Love
at the
you,
con with
Michael.
him. And that's it. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna wrap it up for the next panel. I don't know. Is there another one?
Yeah, Tony's already wrapped it up.
I think he's already.
Don't look at me.
I love my dad.
Don't look at me. Turn off the microphones. Hit it.
Is this yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Careful.
I
Jeez,
love
sorry.
by the way. Hello.
Huh? Yeah, cut it off.